Yesterday marked exactly 3 years since Maggie became a businesswoman, but today she is preparing to close. Suddenly, a strange woman came to her who wanted to take a job with her mercenary job. Her boss, fat, sullen, and unscrupulous woman named Madeline, for her became the embodiment of world evil. Every morning, waking up from her nap, Maggie dreamed of the day when she wouldn't have that damn job in her life. She couldn't just pick up and quit her job because she was the sole breadwinner in the family. Maggie has an elderly mother who is 92 years old. She had been paralyzed for another 15 years. The old lady lived alone and hoped for help from social volunteers. But her daughter, Maggie, was determined that her mother will be under her personal supervision. Her husband, Brian, supported her as well. This is how they came to live together. 6 years after that event, Brian had an incident. He worked as a lifeguard. One day he had to climb a tall tree to save a frightened cat, but at the last moment, his insurance failed him. Brian fell from a height. His injury turned out to be serious. Doctors were sure that the guy will live in such a condition for a couple of weeks at most, but Brian turned out to be strong. He survived, really left him disabled. He's been in a wheelchair ever since. Maggie also has a daughter, Tina. She is 14 years old this year. Tina's behavior has changed a lot lately. She and her mother used to be able to talk for hours about everything, but now every communication's turned into insults and swearing. Maggie realized that her daughter has entered the active phase of growing up, but that doesn't make her feel any better. She has also had a hard time in business. Maggie has loved sewing since she was a little girl. Growing up, she took needlework courses and became a master at it. She especially liked sewing wedding and evening dresses. After all, such things represent luxury, celebration, happiness, and fun, which are so scary in Maggie's life. 3 years ago, when a financial guru convinced Maggie that it was time for her to start her own business, she thoughtlessly formulated her business. It will be a wedding dress salon, where she will sell her own handmade creations. Her mentor praised Maggie's idea, gave her some advice, and then disappeared from her life. Otherwise, she had to organize everything from scratch. She managed to find a room only on the outskirts of the city, in the basement of a small business center. Maggie dreamed of having a boutique in a busy downtown area, and certainly not in a basement. But the fees for renting such premises provided prohibitive for her. At that time, she was glad that she had decided to freely develop herself financially. Since then, 3 years have passed imperceptibly, and the desired financial freedom for Maggie has not come. And today, while Maggie finished her instant noodles, she thought about where she would get the money to pay for her family separation expenses. How to pay the rent was out of the question, because not a single person had visited her boutique in the last 2 weeks. It was very frustrating for Maggie. Once, she was told by everyone that handmade dresses are very expensive and they are ready to go to any part of the city for them. But in reality, it didn't work out that way. Hearing Eli knock on the door, Maggie was glad. She was hoping it might be a potential customer. "Hello, I see you're expecting me," the lady with the multicolored hair asked. Maggie was slightly confused and then answered, "Hello, yes, of course. We're always waiting for you. What can I do for you?" she asked. "I'm here to apply for a job. Just don't ask those standard questions like why you should hire me and all that. It's nothing. I need a definite yes or no answer from you. If no, I won't waste my time here. There are other places waiting for me," said the lady. Maggie looked at the woman and couldn't connect her image to her boutique. The lady was wearing a long floor-laid leopard coat. Her red stiletto heel shoes caught my eye from below. She could barely fit through the doorway, and when she smoked through the mouthpiece, Maggie almost fainted. Meanwhile, the visitor was rushing her answer. Maggie remembered that she hadn't been able to get the hairdresser and dentist for a long time because she came to the boutique every single day, hoping to sell at least one dress a week. I mean, only you will have a trial period of 2 weeks. If you can sell one dress in that time, I will be willing to hire you as a salesman, said Maggie. Yay! What's a challenge? Make sure that after 2 weeks, you can at least deliver new dresses. Also, think about how you and I will be when the customers start fighting over your dress. By the way, my name is Sarah. The woman introduced herself. Maggie was already convinced that Sarah liked to ramble on and on about everything, and she didn't like to be drowned in such talk. She only dreamed of finally getting to the hairdresser tomorrow and then sleeping at home. After a short conversation, Maggie handed the keys to her store to the strange woman, honestly admitted that she wouldn't be able to follow the openings of a store in the morning and went home. Early the next day, Sarah opened the dress store, but she could only sit in it for 5 minutes, and she became indignant. What kind of store is this that doesn't have a single customer? She thought and decided to rectify that point. Sarah walked out into the basement hallway and decided to get to know her neighbors first. To the right of the front door was the pet store. To the left, psychologist's office. The neighbor on the left seemed more interesting to Sarah. There was a young girl sitting outside the psychologist's door. Judging by her appearance, she wasn't having any fun at all. Are you here to see this, madam? Sarah asked, nodding her head. The girl nodded her head affirmatively. Waste of time. You waste time, you pay money. You end up just as sad. It would have been better if you had come to me. But you think about it, there is still time. Sarah said, and headed towards the door of the pet store. What's so interesting? The girl asked. As the most interesting things I can think of for a girl like you, said Sarah. Come back to her and ask her, what makes so sad in such beautiful weather? My favorite guy left me very cruelly, said the girl and cried. Woo! Look how brave you showed up. Do you know there is a separate cauldron in hell, where the degree is higher? That's where he will answer for every tear you shed, said Sarah, trying to cheer up the girl. But the girl now began to cry in earnest. Sarah was scared. Why don't you tell me what happened? I'm sure there are no hopeless situations, she said. I love him very much. When I told him about it, he said he loved me too. He went on a few dates, but after that, he started avoiding me. I wanted to understand what was going on. I just wanted to talk to him. If it was over me, was it so hard to tell me to my face? But he decided to avoid me until the end. I followed him outside his house. I followed him to his university. I waited for him outside my gym. I went to his parents and asked them to talk to him. I made it my goal, by all means, to get his honest opinion about our relationship. One such day, my friend told me that my lover had died. It was a real blow to me. So I rushed to his house. I got there just in time to see the coffin being carried out of his house. I threw myself at the feet of the attendants and began to open the lid so that I could kiss him one last time. My lover's parents knew me well by then. They gave me the okay. And when they opened the lid of the coffin, everyone was shocked. Instead of my boyfriend, there was a rubber doll of some man. That's when I realized my boyfriend was a clone. He had invented his own death in order to disappear from our town without a trace. Because that day before, he had taken out several loans on himself, rewrote his father's car, took girls get knocked up by him. As I was chasing him, it was more profitable to him to declare himself dead than to go on living. I ruined his plans. Then 3 days later, he showed up and confronted me. He called me all kinds of mean things. Now I can live with it. I really feel guilty toward him, the girl said as she continued to roar. Sarah silently took her hand and led her into the store. You look here for a dress for yourself. I will go look for a groom. May your uniform die of envy this time, said Sarah. She wasn't kidding about the fiancé. Looking into the pet store, she saw a young man there. He seemed to be choosing cat food. Do you have a cat? Or a cat? She asked. The man just nodded his head, not understanding the question. It's crazy. So young and handsome, and instead of pinching young women by the buttocks, he lives with a cat. Let's go to my store. There is such a beauty is missing. By the way, are you single? She asked. The young man shook his head negatively. When Sarah returned to the parlor, taking the man by the hand, she said girl was standing in front of the mirror and twirling around in the most beautiful dress. She was unrecognizable. She was transformed. She admired her own reflection in the mirror. Well, how does she like that dress? Sarah asked the man. It suits her very well. She's beautiful, replied man. If it's true, you two get acquainted. I will come back later, Sarah said, and went back to the pet store. This time, there was a man walking around the hall looking for a dog carrier. Are you happily married? Sarah asked him straight to his forehead. It used to be better, but now it's a mess. But I try not to think about it. I'm distracted by the pets, replied the man. Another outrage. Sarah was indignant. I know what you need to do, darling. Let's go to my store. Revise the wedding dress for your poor life. Offer her just to try it on. It should refresh your feelings. And then you will think together whether to buy it or not. Sarah insisted and finally convinced him. The man now, with an uncertain look, began to browse through the beautiful wedding dresses. By this time, Sarah had returned to the psychologist's door. There was a new woman sitting there now, also with a set face. Why don't we go straight to my place? Sarah said, nodding her head in the direction of her store. The woman turned her head, glanced at the modest store sign, and waved her hand. I don't want to hear anything about marriage. I've been married before. Now I'm going to get a divorce. To cope with this task, I come to the psychologist, she said. When is your divorce day? Sarah asked. Tomorrow, indifferently replied the woman. In this case, we'll launch a unique promotion for you. You will now try on several dresses and choose one, and tomorrow you will go to divorce in it. It will be free. After the divorce, you will return your dress to us, said Sarah. Her determination was so obvious that the woman realized it is useless to argue. While the potential clients were looking around, Sarah went outside and her gaze fell on a distracted policeman who was lazily walking around the neighborhood. Cop, why are you so sad? You don't like your job? Sarah asked. It's not about work. My mom is seriously ill. The doctor said that her fate was sealed. Her diagnosis was terminal. I feel sorry for my father. They lived together for almost 60 years, and now he's with her all the time. He's afraid to be without her, said the cop. It may sound strange, but let's organize a party for your old people. Pick out a wedding dress for your mother and put it on her. Organize a photo shot with her and your father in this dress. Let them refresh their happily times. Let them feel the sharpness of their feelings. I don't know what it will do, but it will be exciting for sure, said Sarah. Look, you're magic. I've been racing my brains for days now, not knowing to gather them for the upcoming holiday. That's great. Great idea, cheered the cop. So what we are waiting for? Come on, I will show you a place where there are good dresses, said Sarah, and led him to the store. By that time, the abandoned girl and the owner of the cat were actively arguing about which dresses suited her better, with a deep neckline or without strap at all. Your shoulders are ugly. I'm embarrassed to go without straps, weakly parried the girl. But you have great breasts. I'm sorry I can't take my eyes off them. Really, your bust is driving me crazy. If you wrap this beauty in that green dress, it's fantastic. You just have low self-esteem, but your breasts are gorgeous, argued the cat owner. If she's not going to choose a strapless dress, I'm taking it. Let my loser tomorrow see what he's missing. On my broad shoulders, this dress fits perfectly, said a woman who was on the verge of divorce and curiously tried on the most daring models of the dresses. The policemen squeezed into their company. Sarah finally remembered it was time for a cup of tea while the customers made their selections. While she was running around with her strange considerations, she didn't notice Maggie come in, didn't catch her in her seat, and went home angrily. In the evening, she decided that nothing could save her store. It will still be closed. The next day, Maggie came to open the store herself. What was her surprise when she saw couples waiting for her store to open. Matthew and I haven't decided when we are getting married, but he's managed to convince me that the cream dress with the embroidery on the back looks like it was made for me. I think I will buy it, she said, and asked her to pack it up. As Maggie feverishly processed the first sale of the month, the man and woman began to talk to each other louder and louder. Even before our wedding, I told that I will feel good in a tight dress, and you kept being jealous of my friends. This time I want to go tight, said the woman. I will settle for anything, honey. I regret not being fair to her all this time, her man said. When the cash register finally cleared, they approached Maggie. Could you please wrap this dress for us? Said the man. Congratulations, great choice. I guess you have a gala coming up? Maggie asked. No, we've been married for 18 years. But in recent years, we've forgotten what we have in common. There was a crazy woman here who suggested the dress idea. We will have a romantic dinner in it tonight, said the man, and the couple left the store with their purchases. No sooner had Maggie counted her proceeds than an old man walked into the store. My beloved Betty doesn't have much left. Yesterday my son brought 3 different dresses to choose from. Betty liked the straight white dress. While we have time, we'd like to do a photo shoot together. Wrap up this snow white dress for me, and take back those lovely 2 dresses. They will soon find their owners, said the man, and reached into his wallet for his card. After the old man came the young student. They came to the doctor from the clinic across the street. Then came the cab driver with his son. Then came the security guard from the neighboring building with his girlfriend, and all had one intention, to buy a wedding dress. The closing of the store was postponed. In the days that followed, this trend continued. A wide variety of people came in and chose a wedding dress for different occasions. Maggie was surprised that after being in this field for almost 3 years, she had never once guessed that her job could be in demand in the most unexpected circumstance of life. When she realized this, she dialed the phone number of Sarah, who had yet to show up at the store since that day. Sarah, you're a brilliant salesperson. I'm ready to hire you. Come out to work tomorrow. I will pay you generously. The store started to turn a profit, she said. And I was about to go to work anyway. Just not so I could sit behind a cash register and wait for years for people to come in to buy. I have my methods. If you want your entire assortment to be sold, be patient for 2 more days, because I'm going to look at the nearby business center tomorrow. Trust me, I'll bring at least 5 customers from there. And then I'm gonna look across the street at the university. And that's when your store will really boom, she said. Maggie hated her plan. Sarah started working in her store, but no one ever saw her sitting behind the counter waiting for customers. Sarah was always walking around, meeting people, talking to people, and leading new people by the hand into the store. So by the end of the month, Maggie could barely keep up with the empathy hinged in the fitting room. Now she didn't have time to design new dresses patterns on her own. On Sarah's advice, she urgently had to hire 2 helpers to speed up the process of making dresses. Toward the end of the month, Sarah declared, "Don't relax, Maggie. There is one more important task for you. You need to find new premises in a good locations and move there. It will be easier there," she said. Maggie was afraid to do it, but she did it in the end. No sooner had I started bragging to all her friends and acquaintances about how lucky she was to have a unique employee that Sarah informed her that she will no longer be working for her. But I pay you a lot of money, almost 30% of every sale, Maggie said. It's not about the money. I need to grow. The other day, I was trying to sell another wedding dress, but my client turned out to be the owner of a luxury apartment complex. Now he's willing to pay me a lot of money on every sale, but I won't stay here for long either, because I have a dream to make a lot of money and open my own business school, said Sarah. Well, in that case, you have to do it, and I'm obliged to let you go, said Maggie. Thank her and let her go.